40 shocking years.
The band from hell.
1.3 million album sales, 22 releases, 319 songs, 200 million streams, and 50 million video views. 2,601 shows, 2 million tickets sold, 2,418 politicians and public figures killed, decapitated, flayed, or otherwise eviscerated on stage.
They've already been banned.
Banned in 3 countries in the 90s. 10 feature-length films, 11 comic books, 26 TV appearances, 3 strategic war games, 1 crack-addicted dinosaur. 347,559 parents terrified, 4 popes enraged, 2 arrests, 1 phallus confiscated, 0 convictions. 1 bar, countless tragedy, 2 Grammy nominations, 40 years of shock rock, still your lords and masters.
Blood lives, motherfucker!
And still, Beavis and Butthead's favorite band. Why? 40 shocking years.
Imagine Alice Cooper with about 1/100th the money.
If the Cramps had been a heavy metal band.
Crazy as H, blood-splattered, ear-splitting hilarity.
The Wizard of Oz meets splatter horror films.
The gag is, you're in the splash zone.
You're covered with goo and blood, and if you're not completely soaked, you didn't have a haunted garage show.
It's like going to a horror movie, except it's actually happening.
It's basically walking into the most brutal, gory film right in front of your face.
It was probably the best part of my life.
I think of him as a guy with commitment to his art. That's Dookie. I mean, he wants to take it as far as he can take it.
You gotta see this band.
Wait a minute, are you gonna get this?
Oh, thank you.
Hello! Oh my god, I finally did it right, where I didn't start in the corner in a little box. I did it right, finally, after 53 shows, or 54 shows. Episode 53 today of the GWARPod. Hello, it's me, Kevin Vonesper. If you're watching this, you have found the GWARPod. It's casual Sunday here in my GWAR cave over here. So I got my hoodie on, and you can't see it, but I got the very comfortable sweatpants. If you go to a GWAR show and they have the sweatpants, I highly recommend picking up the sweatpants. They are my favorite piece of clothing right now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. We have the Alternatives on today, some Dim Times GWAR members, and they are celebrating the re-release of their catalog of the Alternatives via Electric Cowbell Records, now available on Bandcamp. We're going to talk about all the things, and I'm very excited about it. I hope you're excited about it as well. Now, I usually wait till the end to promote the next shows, but this is so important. I'm probably going to promote it like 100 times on this show, but especially now and at the end. Thursday, this coming Thursday, February 19th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can you believe it? An active Saturday Night Live cast member, Sarah Sherman, aka Sarah Squirm, who's also promoting her new, I want to call it a stand-up special, but it's beyond a stand-up special. It's something very, if you're into GWAR and gross out humor and blood and guts, you're gonna love this. It's on HBO Max now. Is that what it's called now? I don't know. They keep changing their name, but it's on the HBO thing. Go look up Sarah Squirm, and please be here for the show. Make me look good. And then maybe we can get Ian Fidance, who's also in this picture with her. I saw them die at the Palladium in Times Square on the hands of GWAR in October, I believe it was. And then I will be seeing them again, GWAR that is, next month on their next tour, The Return of Gorgor. I think it's The Return of Gorgor, The Revenge of Gorgor. It's something about Gorgor. He's back. There's a giant dinosaur. They're covering Chapel Roan. It's glorious. And I'll be there with my camera in New Jersey at the Starland Ballroom. Okay, I think that's all I have to say at the top of the show. Shall we get into it? Let's roll the theme song, and I'll see you on the other side with the Alternatives.
GWARPod comes from on GWARPod. 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 GWARPod.
All right, returning to the show. Hello, Jim Thomson. Returning to the show. Hello, Chris Bopst. And for the first time ever, Greg Ottinger. Hello, it's the Alternatives.
Hey, team.
Hey.
Assemble.
Nice to be here.
Yes, I was very excited to get everyone together. I've talked to some of you individually, but now you can all talk shit about each other live in the flesh. How is everyone doing today?
Very well. A little rainy here, but very good.
Gotcha. And where are you? And tell me, okay, we got to start here. Tell me about this death room.
Yeah, so I'm in Richmond, Virginia. I'm in my death room. So I have 3 gigantic, like 200-foot tulip poplars around my house. And during a large windstorm about 10 years ago, one of them cracked in half and fell directly through the roof like that with all the branches hanging down, and a branch came in here and missed me by about a foot, or I would have been skewered. So yeah, and to tell you how fast that happened, I had a cat on my lap, and everything had happened like an explosion. The cat was just jumping up. So cats are pretty fast, and it was not that fast. So yeah, but it's an appropriate room to be talking about our days in GWAR, to say the least.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would have been a very GWAR-ish death.
Oh, absolutely.
Impaled.
Absolutely.
Yes, impaled. Oh my God. Well, let's start here with the current. You guys just remastered and re-released and expanded, is that the right word to use here? Your catalog of albums on Bandcamp? Why now? Is it, I see, what was it? Did you guys start in 85? It's like the 40-year anniversary of the Alternatives as well?
No, I think it was just time to do it, stuff was not really in one cohesive space anywhere. The dark edges of the internet, free music archives, like not great uploads on YouTube and stuff. So yeah, we just figured it was time to just get it all out, all at once. It didn't coincide with any kind of anniversary by any means. It's like, let's just do it before we die,
That's a good, that's what I tell a lot of old punk rockers. I'm like, get that stuff out of your closet and let me digitize it before it's gone forever,
Yeah.
Well, and Jim has the record label Electric Cowbell, which does music from all over the world, kind of bonded together by a certain kind of groove. And he's been doing that for a while, and we had talked for many years about all the different Richmond bands that there's no place for a lot of Richmond music that we were a part of or that we really liked. So he started Richmond Relics, and what just came out this past Friday is a record by a band called The Famous Actors from Out of Town, which was a band that was a profound influence on us, was just an unbelievable live band quartet. 2 drummers, Pippin Barnett and Johnny Hott. Johnny Hott went on to play with House of Freaks, has a long and storied career in music. It was part of Sparkle Horse. Paul Watson as well, who passed away recently. He's an excellent musician. And Marty McCavitt. And the other drummer being Pippin Barnett, which was part of the Orthotonics, just a phenomenal drummer. And they only played a handful of shows and released 1 cassette. And I hounded Pippin for years. I was like, I need a copy of that. And so Jim and I had talked about that for a long time, but Jim went the extra mile and actually went to Marty McCavitt, went through the step-by-step arduous process of digging through the past to make that possible. And I'm so glad that he did. I think there's 200 vinyl records of it.
Yeah, 250.
And then it's on Bandcamp as well, but a truly one-of-a-kind band. 2 drummers, keyboard player, and then trumpet and guitar. Paul played trumpet and guitar. So it's kind of it's avant-garde in a way, but it's still very accessible. And that was just, that record is so great. And there's a lot of Richmond music that never got past, the city limits that I think should come out. And Jim took the ball and ran with it. And then, it was easy enough. Well,
Yeah.
we got all
Which
these
is awesome.
alternative records,
Yeah.
why not? Let's just do that. Because for years, my daughter is in college now. She's like, is your music on Spotify or anything? And I'm like, no, and then, so, and then Jim already had the experience with his record label, and it was, easy enough for him to do. And we had it all remastered from the best source materials that we could find. So, listen to it. I'm really proud of it, and you can debate if it's good or bad, but one thing is undeniable.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that later. I'm going to suggest a few bands that you may want to re-release.
Armpit.
Armpit.
There you go.
Yes, Tim was on the show talking about it as well.
Yeah. What's kind of undeniable about it is that nobody really sounds like us.
I was
That's a
going
good or
to
bad
ask.
thing.
Yeah,
So,
maybe this is a good time to ask that question. Like, did you you were kind of a unique band in terms of like your sound, and it was instrumental, which was generally unusual. Did you have any other bands around that you felt were like spiritually, musically, not necessarily stylistically the same, but like spiritually similar to you guys?
Oh, well, I mean, I can the Residents and Devo and
Oh,
Void. I can say that right off the bat between Greg and I, because we grew up in Northern Virginia, and we initially bonded on the Residents. Like, you have a fucking Residents
nobody had
record?
heard of the Residents.
Right,
Nobody knew who the Residents were.
Yeah, we need.
And we
bands.
still
If you
don't.
did,
Right.
you were definitively an oddball.
Yeah, so that's how Greg and I bonded immediately. And then 9353, which was a band that was part of the later period of the early DC hardcore era, that was truly a phenomenal live act. And so,
And I ripped off all of his licks, every single one of them.
Yeah.
Definitely his sound, right?
Yeah, Jason Kramer.
Yeah.
Look him up from 935. He produced, he did live sound. I saw him again with Consolidated, which was a political hip hop band. And he still produces records, but Greg totally copped all of the amp, the effects, not the guitar, but I mean, that was a band that we all bonded on almost immediately.
Yeah, between that and the Meat Puppets, then you have about 50% of my.
Oh yeah, and
those were
Devo,
label mates of yours as well, right?
Yeah, Devo was a huge influence, and then both Greg and I were Kiss freaks, So it was like we had so many of the same musical origins in that way.
And yet,
and
your
at that
band
time,
wasn't theatrical. Why didn't you turn into a theatrical band like the Residents and Devo and all these other bands?
Well, that was what GWAR was.
Yeah, right. Gotcha.
At that time, it was like you wanted to be different. Like, I loved the Clash. I didn't want to be in the Clash.
Right.
I mean, I still probably the most important band of my existence.
What about Cut the Crap?
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, I'm testing your limits
horrible.
today.
I mean, oh yeah, that was one of the worst days at the record store ever. But I didn't want to sound like Cut the Crap or Lennon Calling or any of those. So, and why we were instrumental is I came to college with the guy that put out our first cassette, Damian Samuel, and we all started hanging out together. And I could see him
right here, right?
Yeah. He is a tolerant God, is what it says there. And Damien basically raised all the funds for that record. But he was angling to be our singer, which was not going to happen. So,
yeah.
I mean, initially I was like, no, Damien, we're going to be instrumental.
We had didn't two singers show
Yeah,
up?
we had two singers. We had two singers at one point, which was really interesting and bad.
Yeah.
Extremely bad. But it was, I mean, talk about experimental.
Well, that's definitely one of the questions I wanted to ask. What brought you to be an instrumental band, and were there ever considerations of people doing vocals for it?
People asked over the years, but no, it was much easier to just the three of us initially, and then to fill that kind of void.
Yeah,
we had Eric who played sax and flute, and then when he left, it was like we were. I mean, so many people were so happy when he left the band, which was hilarious. But we're naturally we came together as a trio and we ended as a trio, and that's the three of us were the alternatives.
Yeah,
Eric was a vital part of it too, but he was older than us and always kind of kept arm's length with us.
We called him Captain Sunshine when we toured.
I hint of sarcasm there?
Yeah, it was good. It was good though, and the fact is that Thomson, Jim here, and I were put together randomly in VCU, which is amazing to me, because if that hadn't happened, we may not have ever become a band. We might not have ever met. But the first thing I was doing is putting like punk rock flyers up, as you do in your dorm room, and he's like checking my. I'd look over to my left, and he's like going through my records. I'm like, hey, dude, what's up? And he's like, well, I got to make sure that you're
gotta see who I'm hanging out with.
And then we immediately bought it. I mean, he was, granted, kind of coming from the suburban scene, and he needed a little bit more induction in the DC hardcore kind of side, because he'd been, kind of sequestered out in the mountains for a long time.
Yeah, but he had all the jam and the
talk about how many cool things you turned me on to, Jim. I mean, good Lord, of Tractor,
surf music.
Surf music. I mean, so we immediately hit it off, and we're just like, that is totally cool. And then as soon as we met Chris, it was like, well, okay, this is definitely something in the works.
And where did you meet Chris?
We were just hanging out, and then we started. I think somehow he probably wanted to smoke weed and ended up in our dorm room. And then was looking at the posters and saying, the Residents, holy shit, what he knows about the Residents.
Eyeballs?
Well, I don't think people of the modern age really know what that meant. I told my daughter that I remember being in Georgetown, where she was this weekend with her boyfriend, and I saw a guy with a Ramones t-shirt, which is so benign now. But I walked across the street and was like, who are you? Hey, we need to hang out.
I got a prop. Have you guys seen this yet? This Ramones tribute album?
Oh, I haven't.
Where so it's like there's different singers on every song kind of deal. Nice. And one of them has the Berserker Blothar doing a duet with Arthur Brown.
Oh no, yeah. I talked
awesome.
The God of Hellfire.
Yeah. I bought Rocket to Russia with the change in my pocket in a cutout bin at Giant Music in Northern Virginia. It was like $3.
Wow.
And that was the first Ramones record I ever bought. But,
somebody had that Agent Orange record. Was it you, Greg?
Yeah.
It was like, I hadn't heard Agent Orange, but like they had
Living in Darkness.
Surf music influence.
Oh yeah. And then it was really kind of cool period of time, because we were turning each other on, and Chris was turning us on. We were turning everybody on to just like, hey, have you heard this? Have you heard that? And we have remained that way to this day to some degree, which is really cool, nice. In my opinion.
Oh,
Hi, you got a visitor.
Come in.
The new member of Alternatives, yay. So did anyone, I forget, I didn't listen back to the interviews I did with you guys previously, but did any of you live in the dairy? Like, how did that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, did you all live in the dairy?
I lived in our practice space, which was a fucking nightmare. I mean, Did
you have a name for your room? Because everyone had like crazy names for their rooms. What's that?
The first room we had was next to the freezer. I forget. It was filled with copper pipe. Do you remember that when Ross was like, "I know how much copper pipe's in there"? And, I was like, "Copper pipe." I wasn't even aware that it could be sold. We just cleared it all out. And my experience with that, I remember we were in there jamming literally for hours on end, and the Richmond philosophy group was upstairs.
Society.
And we had been playing for hours on end, and they just had enough and started jumping up and down on top of our ceiling. And I remember opening my eyes, and it was like there was an asbestos snowstorm coming down. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Probably not so good for the health.
The building was such a trip. It looked like some post-apocalyptic scene, you know, and there was, remember the old laser light show stuff lying around?
Yeah.
There was like a lot of backline for live music production, like lighting rig systems.
Tons of old TVs, like old control panels.
Alexander, I think, was one of the guy's names, some eccentric electrician guy that did laser lights for rock bands and stuff.
Well, then the story was that there was a transformer in the building that no one could find, but that if it broke, it would blow out walls. And it was covered in dust. So it was literally like it was like walking into a 1950s science fiction film. So, and then underneath all that layer of grime and arbitrary technology, mid 20th century technology, was milk cartons and crates and all these large industrial machines that hadn't been turned on in decades. And then the hippie, he wasn't really a hippie. He was kind of a
pagan.
He was a sickie. He was like a biker. He was kind of, had the long hair and all. Russell.
Yeah.
But he was a guy you did not want to fuck with.
Lemmy.
And Lemmy. There were two guys that you did not want to fuck with because they would kill you. And we never did. And we
and you're still alive.
Well, they came to respect us because we didn't steal their shit. We locked the door and we were, friendly. Said that we were kind of kindred spirits from a different generation.
Well,
But
for you guys and for the audience, if you want to see a wild interview on this show, go check out my interview with Neon Charlie.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, shit.
That was a trip, man.
Yeah, sure.
So that's where we all found ourselves.
He didn't bring a gun, did he, Kevin?
Well, good thing this is all virtual, you know what I mean?
Gosh.
That's where we all found ourselves. We were our friends of I think Tom Jameson and Frank Pickle they were in a band called Near East and were, freshmen at VCU at the same time. And they were the ones, I think, Dean Rasmussen, who's no longer with us, sadly, they initially found the building from what I remember. And then we shared the first practice space with them. And that's how we, came into the dairy. And that's where we met Don and Hunter.
Yeah.
And then Dave was just omnipresent in everywhere in Richmond. So, and then we were all kind of, big Death Piggy fans. And then it all everybody just kind of migrated there because it was like an artist commune. I mean, we had that freezer we had, which was gigantic. I mean, it had a bunch of shit in it, but there was still a ton of space. It was $50 a month.
And it was cork lined, the entire thing. So it was actually like completely soundproof naturally. Now, it was really a weird experience when you closed that door inside, because I slept there for many, many months because I was completely homeless. And I would play Neil Young. It was the only Harvest and what's the other? Zuma, those two albums. Good, and it sounds very hippie, and I wasn't. But those albums made me feel like they was going to keep the ghosts away while I slept. Because it was, I mean, imagine sleeping in a freezer. It's like literally sleeping in a tomb underground. You're like, it's crazy.
Well, and just transversing that building in almost complete darkness. Or with
why don't you tell us, Chris? Why don't you tell us about your story about going to practice one day and meeting eyes with some locals?
Oh no, that was hilarious.
Kevin will enjoy the story.
I'm enjoying all of this very much.
So I was coming from BCU, and I would just walk, and there was the only business down there was Nick's grocery store, which was this Italian grocery store, and they had the best subs for cheap, So I was like, man, it was a spring day. It was probably March. It was like one of those first spring days. Well, I had like a pep in my step, and I'll take the corner to walk down the back alley to practice, to the back where we always went in and out at the dairy. And I'm like halfway down the alley. I look to my right, and 6 eyes meet. And it was me, and I just kind of stopped. And this dude was plowing into another dude like the cure for cancer was in his ass. And I mean, and they stopped for maybe a second. And it was that second seemed like a lifetime. Our eyes met. And then he just kept going. I mean, it was like crazy. And I was just like, oh my God. I gotta practice.
We probably wrote a song after that, Kevin, just so you know. I'm not sure what song it was, but if you listen to the alternatives, you're gonna be like, damn, yeah, that was
that area. It was weird, Richmond at night.
Yeah, it was gnarly. Richmond was gnarly back then.
A ghost town.
Yeah.
Basically, when the sun went down, everybody ran to the burbs, and only thing on the streets were, prostitutes, male prostitutes. In DC, I saw female prostitutes all the time. I was like, in Richmond, I was like, am I ever going to see a female prostitute? It was like all dudes. And so that was it. And then, junkies and, GWAR.
Yeah.
I remember we were in the
and
dairy
everybody
bar.
joined GWAR.
Yeah, we were
even the prostitutes.
We were.
Well, it was kind of a fort, down in that neighborhood of Jackson Ward. The dairy building was like a fortress, and everybody looked out for each other, kinda. But stuff got stolen in there. Remember the Martin guitar? Was it pre-CBS Martin guitar that got stolen from our practice space that we got blamed for? And that's when things started going really downhill there. Remember?
Yeah, barely. Yeah.
Anyway, the guitar, really expensive guitar that
whose was it?
The landlord was keeping in our practice space for whatever reason. I could see Brocky using it for a dairy air show or something. Maybe smashing it. Who knows what happened to it?
Never. The rule was
space, so we got. Yeah.
The rule was never give Dave anything you wanted to keep. Never let him touch anything because he would destroy it.
Right. Yeah.
And even if you didn't give it to him, it's very likely, probably a 50% chance he would destroy it anyways.
Yeah.
So you had to be very careful with that guy.
What was funny was because I was, I played with Death Piggy at the final throes of it, and played at that. Gig at 930 Club that they got banned from with Russ and Sean. And then,
Suicidal
Sean,
Tendencies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was hilarious. So, and then after that, after we got banned because of all the Cara syrup went into the 2 brand new monitors, Russ and Sean, we're just kind of tired of it, It was being in Death Piggy was, everybody it was a fun band, but I do think that people wanted to be serious. Like I know that Sean kind of went to play with the Mystigogs and other people, and then Russ was more centered on schooling. So, but Dave wanted to keep it going. So, after that happened, after Russ and Sean left and Steve Douglas, he was like, "Well, let's just get Jim and Greg," and I was like, well, sure. And then it just kind of happened.
Right.
Like that, just kind of organically because
we were hanging out a lot with Dave,
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well,
I hadn't met Dave at the Hell in Heaven party.
Yeah.
That was the first time. I was just thinking about this morning, so he was already known to us because we had seen Death Piggy, hadn't really met him. Dave was how many years older? 2 years, about 2 years, somewhere like that. So we knew this dude and had seen Death Piggy play at Schaefer Court and some other places. And this is prior to obviously Chris joining, but it was, I was like, who is this guy? And he was vivacious to say the least. And we went to a party where everybody was dosed. I mean, seriously dosed. And they had 3 levels of the party. They had
Wow.
purgatory. No, wait. They had
Heaven.
hell. They had purgatory. Then they had heaven. And depending on which floor you were, you're dealing with all this stuff. And of course, we were in hell, which where Dave's room was. And I decided with his roommate to smoke some bowls, and we were like hanging out. And he had turned his room into like this pit of, I don't know how to even describe it. It was like a giant tent fort that you would have as a kid. So we were under this like a cardboard table smoking a bowl, and I hear, "Who's in Satan's lair?" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" I think that's fucking Dave Rocky, you know. And I'm sitting there like, and I'm looking at Britt Ryle. I'm like, "Britt, you know, is this cool?" You know, he's like, "Yeah, I know him." But that's when I first met Dave. So
Britt lived there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Dave
was,
lived there.
Ben Eubanks, Russ Bohorsky, Brent, and Dave.
Yeah. So that's how I met the fucker, and you know, after that, we were just immediately like, I hate you because I like you, and I like you because I hate you. Kind of.
That sounds about right.
He ended up being my best friend. You know. Yeah.
Nice. Well, let me circle this back around to this, because I noticed in the credits, Sean was actually helped engineer this record, or
oh yeah.
And how did that come about? And was he like, did he usually do studio things, or how did he come to help you guys out?
He knew Victor Benshaw, Radioactive Studio, so that was the first studio that we became aware of. And Death Piggy stood out because they had a record out, which was like, wow.
Yeah.
But they had recorded that at Inner Ear with Don Santera. But locally, it was Victor Benshaw studio, who worked with, you know, a older generation, good guys, 1010, that preceded us. So he hooked us up with Victor, and Damien sold a bunch of weed to get us into the studio, and we went in there late night and recorded it. Nice. And it was like a miracle to us.
Yeah.
And then we got the cassette. We were like, oh my God, wow. We hit the big time.
And Jim needs to tell you about what happened to that cassette and how it ended up into SST's arms, so to speak.
Well,
that's
me.
That's Chris.
Yeah, it was that
at the show, but I didn't hand it to him.
Yeah, that was at that last Black Flag tour. It was Black Flag, Painted Willie, and Gone.
Was that at New Horizons?
Yeah.
Okay. So was that what they had, the wall of rat sound?
Yeah. So
okay, cool.
I got there super early, and it helped go up. New Horizons was second floor, but predominantly a reggae club. They would allow you to do shows there, and the stairs were totally treacherous. So I got there early, helped them move the stuff up, and hung out, you know, and talked to them, and you know, was like how cool Gone was, and just ended up hanging with Black Flag and Gone, the whole crew all day, and then just kind of by chance at the end of it, you know, I was, oh shit, yeah, here's my tape, you know, we play instrumental music, you know, hopefully you listen to it.
Here's my tape.
You know, I mean, yeah, and Ginn was like a god to us, you know. I mean,
yeah.
Black Flag was, especially at that point, because SST was the pinnacle of the American underground with, you know, Flag and the Stains and Minutemen, Husker Du. I mean, everything they put out for a long time was crucial. You know, and
they put out a Bad Brains record, right?
Yeah. Eye Against Eye.
And some HR stuff too.
A live one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, they were the Motown of the American underground. So I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think in my wildest dreams that we would actually record. I remember we ended up playing with Sonic Youth a couple months later, and I'm talking to Kim Gordon, and she had a Peter Criss solo record T-shirt. And so we just went off about Peter Criss, talking about him. She's like, oh, you playing the Alternate? So I was like, yeah, she's like, oh, you're doing a record for SST. And I was like,
You're like,
what?
what?
And this is 20th century communication. I'm like, what? I have an idea.
Not that I know of.
Right. So, we played the gig and they
Puppets,
were
yes.
great. That was the Evol tour with Steve Shelley from the Crucifix, who was, I love the Crucifix, and he was perfect for them. And so the next day I call SST, and I end up with Dukowski on the phone.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, hey, I'm calling from Richmond, Virginia. My first question was, is Saccharine Trust going on tour anytime? And he was kind of like, no. He's like, who is this? I said, I'm Chris. And he's like, you playing a band? Yeah. He's like, what's the name of your band? I said, Alternatives. He's like, oh, yeah, I've been meaning to call you. Do you want to record for SST? And I was like, it was really hard for me to keep my cool, about all that. And so I said, yeah, I'll be back in touch. He gave me, their direct line. And then before the conversation ended, he was like, hey, do you know this band Always August? I was like, yeah. He's like, we want to sign them too. So, I hung up the phone. I couldn't believe it. I ran over and told Jim and Greg. I was like, fucking dude, fucking SST wants to put us out, dude. We couldn't fucking believe it. And it was like a dream come true. It was like, I couldn't even, And and that was funny because before we went to record that, we played our last show with GWAR. And that was my and definitely if you get to see the highlights of your life before you die, one of the highlights will be, because before that show we pre-recorded everything because they were filming.
Right.
Yeah, pre-recorded everything.
I heard that.
And GWAR put out the horrible version. I have a great version of that session.
Are we talking about this right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have the original tape of that. That's much better. So anyway, we recorded the whole thing. We're like, we had decided, really like we're going to go do Alternatives because GWAR was such a commitment, and people forget that how hard that was to do a show. So we had decided it was all fine. I think Dave was disappointed, but he respected it.
Brokenhearted, more like it.
Right. So we were like, everything's pre-recorded. And then Scott Krall and I had stolen a gigantic fire extinguisher, which we used for Spew. And this was like the biggest one we'd ever found. And so I was like, I want that for my dick. So we filled this thing up with, Cara syrup and red. I remember talking with Scott, like, it's got to have some brown in it, because it's like that. We would have discussions of what looks like real deceased semen. So we're playing, right? We're dressed up, it's like, and then every GWAR show was a sellout from day one anyway. And then, so it's at Rockets downstairs for some reason. And so it's time for me, like I'm doing bass runs with my hands in the air. I think it's totally obvious that we're not playing. And so it's my time to do the, to spray the crowd. And I've got, this gigantic phallus, and Scott hits it and it's coming out like a gusher. And people are literally like, they're like 2-3 feet from my face. From the deck, and this thing is coming out it's like blowing glasses on people's faces.
Oh my God.
And it's just going. And I remember distinctly
There's a reason they call it the dim times, Kevin.
Yeah,
right.
Going back and forth in the front row and just exploding onto people's faces, and then it's like a solo bass run, and I'm just doing this.
I had people come up to me after that show, Chris, and we're like, you guys were the tightest I've ever seen. I mean, that was awesome. And I was like, dude, at that point, you just got to say, yeah, thanks. Yeah. I mean, I was like spinning my guitar like Milli Vanilli, like.
No. But I do remember the sound was fucked up because they didn't get remember there was like a delay for the only thing that was live was the vocals.
Yeah.
And there was a delay. And that was also the night I kicked Dave. Like, if I had not kicked Dave, he would have lost his manhood because he was standing right in front of a flash pot. And it was at the part of the show, and I just kicked him. And that thing, I mean, totally illegal. It was like a bomb. Yeah, it was a bomb going off. And of course, he was mad at me. You know, what are you fucking kicking me for?
Yeah, we were just trying pyrotechnics for the first time. That was one of the ones where I remember, like, holy shit, we almost died. But do you guys remember playing the Mexicano with Guar?
Yeah.
Where they blew I think they filled that thing up with like twice as much, or somebody made a mistake. Let's just put it that way. It was like a flashbang went off on stage, and it was complete silence because we were literally like, all right, let's start playing. So, yeah, sorry, I just had to bring that up.
So many near deaths.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah.
But it's like touring with the alternators in a van.
Hung, right?
Yeah. I got
hung
on
thing.
stage at a Death Piggy show when I first started.
Oh yeah.
And that was the the routine was, okay, Chris, at the end of the show, we're going to ask the crowd if they want to keep you or not. And of course, no one did. And they were going to hang me. So Scott Cross had the harness to him. Scott Cross, like a foot
Super
taller
tall,
than me.
yeah.
I get into this thing. They start stringing me up, and I'm literally dying. And the last thing of my life would have been Dave going, kill him, kill him, kill him. And I made eyes with my brother, and in my stare, I relayed to him, like, I'm going to die, and you're going to have to take care of Joan, my mother, by yourself. And he ran over and saved me. And I was in bed for 2 days after. I had a big fucking rope burn on my neck. And then Sean and Russ and Dave came by. Sorry, man, but it was funny.
Wasn't that 9:30 Club, right?
Yeah, yeah, man.
That
the old one.
That was going bananas. The 9:30 show was when Suicidal Tendencies killed us.
That's right.
Yeah.
And,
Different death, yeah.
So yeah, it was so much easier. So we were I was of the mindset, like, Alternative, we're going to sign with SST, do a bunch of touring, and then GWAR at that point, we were doing to do a GWAR show, we had to get all the stuff loaded, all, there weren't any slaves at that point, or people, there were always people helping, but we had to move all the stuff there. We had to set it all up. We had to get, and then those early GWAR shows, we were running the door and moving the PA. It was an all-day event. It was a 12, 16-hour day.
Well, the rehearsals going up to the show.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, insane.
And then, there were, you had to run through 20 people. Yeah, everybody had an opinion. And then after the show, nobody would rent us a PA unless we cleaned it up. They'd be like, I'm not cleaning up your garbage. So we had to clean, not only we play the show, we had to clean up the PA, help the guy move it out, and then move all the shit back to the dairy. And all the money went right back into the band, pretty much, and it was fun, but we had this opportunity. We left that next day after the GWAR show, went into the van and drove all the way to Venice Beach, California, to record "Hold Your Tongue," the first SST record. So
let's go back to that, and we'll get back into the GWAR stuff. Let's go here. Well, I wanted to ask, like, here's what I was curious about. As an instrumental band, usually bands name their songs based on the lyrics. How did you guys come up with names for your songs?
Good question. It's really arbitrary to some degree. Some had some, in my remembrance, and you guys keep me honest here, but some of them had, like, themes. Like Sunset was kind of like a Western kind of sounding song. So we were like, I'll call it Sunset because that's what we called, some kind of Western thing. Yeah, it was kind of surfy.
Sunset on Acid, which we probably were doing.
Yeah.
And, Love the Ventures. That was such an integral part of we listened to surf music a bunch. Paraquat, because they were spraying weed with paraquat. So if you were smoking weed in the 80s, you lived in the back of your brain. You're like, is this sprayed with paraquat?
Not.
Chicken Box on that record was named after a fast food chain that's indigenous to Richmond, Virginia, that has a whole story behind it. We had a German manager that was into having sex with black teenage boys. So that was Chicken Box. And then
what about
House of Tofu was the, kind of our ode to Grace Place, which was the only vegetarian restaurant in Richmond at that time where Jim worked, and we all hung out. Knew a bunch of people there.
Got tons of rice and beans for free.
Oh, carrot juice.
Yeah, Jim turned orange after drinking 400 gallons of carrot juice.
Yeah. Remember, this area of Grace Street, about 3 blocks of it at that time, GWAR, there were all the clubs were around there where we used to be called Damage Report. Remember?
Yeah.
We called the Alternatives Damage Report, and we played like some talent night at a local place where it was like pictures were on sale, and there were strip clubs. There were it was a kind of weird southern seedy area. VCU, the university was there. There was these random like head shops, biker bars, clubs that were like biker bars, and
VCU art students.
It was just like so much happening. That vegetarian restaurant was there. There was a Lum's. There was a Burger King, but there was like
Station Break.
So much. The coffee shop, the Village, where we had endless meetings where, I don't know, probably half of my life with Dave Brocky was sitting at a table drinking coffee at the Village.
Yeah, there's a picture of Jim and I taken by my then girlfriend, Tara Freites, sitting in the window at the Village, and that was like the seat to be. And that literally was the hub of our world, of the Richmond creative music and art theater world was right there.
Yeah. To get enough pennies to go get some coffee, you just scrape.
The poor waiters. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Which we all became waiters or waitress. I ended up being a bar back there. I know you waited tables there forever. And had to deal with other people that would spend pennies for hours.
Yeah, but my thing, it was funny. I talked to Rebby Sharp the other day about she said used to come to the table and say more fun stuff and that with coffee. And my thing with coffee was like, I would never cut anybody off. I'd just give them enough coffee, until they said no. So it was always like an experiment on my part. And working at the Village, that kept the Alternatives going. We go on tour. I could get, get people to cover my shifts, come back and have my job. So it was a great place to live and work. And was essential to the Alternatives and GWAR.
Did you ever Greg? Didn't we work for Rex? Remember Rex? Dave Brocky always got these side jobs with this guy Rex, who would get demolition jobs.
Oh yeah.
And we would get like $5 an hour, and you'd meet at the Village, and then get in the back of a pickup truck with Jim Diaz, Brocky, Danielle. And you'd go destroy some building,
Yeah. It was actually kind of cathartic in a way, because you drink that much coffee, you had something to do finally. And so you just smash stuff. I think $5 an hour might have been more than we were actually being paid, though.
It's kind of high, huh?
Yeah.
Well, then the breakfast special was 2 eggs, toast, bacon,
coffee,
and grits was $2.95.
You could pocket a bunch of the little jellies,
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Tour sustenance.
It's a pretty wild area, though, for to be roaming around in Richmond at that time. Like, it was kind of the center of the universe in a lot of ways. And then when you went to the dairy to practice, that was, you'd go across this massive street called Belvedere into this Jackson Ward neighborhood where the dairy was. But then once the dairy wasn't a viable option anymore, GWAR got the practice space on Laurel Street, which was close to the village.
Well, yeah, it went
space in there.
Yeah, it went to the Lucky Strike building. Remember that?
That's right. Yeah.
They had 2 floors there, and then it went across the street from the biggest club in Richmond. Literally, the GWAR
Strike thing was really short-lived, right?
Yeah.
Was that
that's where the Spectron was built, though.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, going to the GWAR space to practice, I want to emphasize that Eric Unger, who joined us on Sex, he knew people in GWAR and stuff, but he kind of hated it. He kind of hated how successful it was and how, these other sculpture students, Eric was a sculpture student, had they were getting a lot of attention. I mean, I'm not saying he was professionally jealous. He just had a kind of disdain and sort of looked down on it. And he looked down on us for doing it and tolerating it. So he was pretty happy when we got out of that. But then at the same time, he had to come to the practice space.
Those guys were our buds. Those were our blood brothers in a lot of ways. And you ain't shit, don't need any shit blowing sax was literally about Unger.
That's
and I used to say, Dave, that's my favorite song. And he wrote that trying to piss us off. And I was like, oh man, I want to play that all day.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Since we're talking about GWAR, was there any early GWAR songs that the Alternatives sort of collectively wrote, or?
Yeah.
Man, we wrote the whole first album.
Yeah,
I wrote the majority of those songs. It's funny because Brad, the drummer, he's probably gonna fucking kill me.
Well, Brad didn't come until Scumdogs.
True, but we knew Brad from being in the Richmond scene earlier as a kid.
He was in a band called Rosebud.
He was a child, a small baby, which I still remind him of daily. So I'm still in contact with him daily. But in any case, he, he just recently said to us, well, we want to kind of set the record straight and want you guys to actually give us the songwriters of the first record. So I actually was like, well, I haven't really thought about it. So I put this, went on the internet, put on the first record, and I was like, that one. So pretty much the majority of that record we wrote. I won't say I wrote it, but as a team, we wrote the majority of those songs. And, to this day, credit, we don't get any, but who cares? The cool part is we started this fire and the thing still it's like a coal fire. It just won't stop. Wow.
Well, tell Brad to start playing more songs from that album because they never play any songs from that album.
Yeah,
it's been all downhill for GWAR since we left.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly. So you got to give them, some credit.
They're catchy. Did you ever hear the Meatmen, Kevin?
Of course, yeah. I love Pasco V.
I remember that kind of being, for me, the sort of reference point for like being stupid and dumb.
1 down, 3 to go. 1 down, 3 to go. 1 down, 3 to go.
Oh yeah, I've seen
all the like
or the super bikes.
At that point in Red 86, like the hardcore.
My favorite's rock and roll juggernaut.
Yeah.
But hardcore sort of people started splitting off and some hardcore bands started getting more metal, like DRI, and you're like, wait a minute, you guys are really embracing the metal on
Cro-Mags,
unironically, and it was sort of like, no, like let's keep it really dumb,
Yeah. I think the Meatmen were sort of parodying the metal of the time at that point.
Oh, sure.
The glam stuff. It was funny because he had like the members of Minor Threat and all that involved.
Well, it's funny. The Eric Zelsdorf, the drummer for War Superbikes, I was in a band with him in high school.
Oh wow, that's cool. What was that called?
Art by Accident.
Nice.
Well, based on a Jackson Pollock. Yeah, we had a book. My mother had a book. So
any recordings?
There are, but none of us. We made a couple of recordings, which I wish I still had, but the bass player might have them, but we haven't been able to get in touch with him. So
interesting.
But
something for your record label, Jim.
Yeah.
Well, that's a Northern Virginia thing.
Right.
Only if he releases Pudwack, man.
Yeah. What's Pudwack? Okay, tell me about Pudwack.
That was my
Wrestling
term.
hardcore scene has got a little documentary or a book, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was my first high school band. It was
The
called
Detroit
Pudwack.
scene?
Pardon?
Which scene?
Reston, Virginia.
Reston, Virginia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is like total super suburbia outside
Planned
of
neighborhood.
DC's. Yeah.
It's most famous for birthing Vale.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar.
Branch managers from there. Avail's.
Avail. Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, the GWAR started from skateboards, hardcore, Kiss, pornography, weed. That was the germ, and it was supposed to be a heavy metal parody.
Yeah, totally.
And then as I used to torture Dave with the Clash lyric all the time, to death and glory. It was like he who fucks nuns later joins the church.
Yeah.
So
the best line he's ever written, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, well, it was, because we were making fun of metal, but you have to think of metal at that time was so pitiful. I mean, it was like the worst hair metal. And this is before Metallica and Slayer, they're kind of.
But I think we would all agree, though, there was a spark within GWAR that we all kind of recognized. We're like, this is just weird enough. This is just effed up enough and dumb enough that it might just make it. And sure as hell did. And that is to this day. I mean, I've only given out 3 autographs in my entire life, and they've all been for GWAR. It's pretty funny. Wow. Yeah.
Let's get it up to 5, guys.
Rocky's charisma. Rocky's charisma is just unrivaled. He could just carry so much, weight. Like, you knew the show was going to be good. Like, if Dave was doing an impromptu set at some, small place like Alpine's Pizza or whatever,
you go just to see what he would do.
Just be like, you're going to be completely entertained by Dave. If you saw him hanging out before or after the show, people just wanted to be around Dave because he was so entertaining.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Greg, I want to ask you, because I've talked to these guys on the show individually before, but tell me about your GWAR character. It was Steven Sphincter, right?
No, that was Jim's with Steven Sphincter.
Mine was Ron Curry.
Yeah.
Curry.
Sorry. Excuse me. So I was Cornelius Carnage.
You were Cornelius Carnage.
There's only one. There will only be one. I've actually legally binded that with Bradley. And it was because that was from a D&D character that I had developed with Dave playing D&D. So we played D&D on various drugs for long periods of time. And one of the most intense D&D campaigns we had was a well-known, it's like Ravenwood or Ravenswood or something like that. So it's basically you have to take on a Dracula-like vampire character, and you're meant to lose in this. There's no winning of this campaign, by the way. That the designers of that module were like, yeah, everyone has to die. Mm-hmm. So Dave approached that with us, and I had this character that I was like, I'm going to roll a dwarf, but I want him to be like 5'10". He's like, you can't do that. He's like, you have to roll three double 20s in a row. And I did it.
Wow.
And he was like, motherfucker. And because of that, we ended up winning that campaign because I just throughout that I don't know if you played D&D or ever have, but I really continually rolled double 20s throughout that campaign. And he was just like, I don't know if you have loaded dice or what the fuck. But that's where Cornelius Carnage came from, because he was based on that character of complete, insanely can't be destroyed, whatever. So I thought it would be a good GWAR character.
And your costume, you were kind of wearing like the beefcake helmet, right?
Yeah, at that point, I'm wearing the Trojan helmet.
Yeah, that thing was so heavy too.
It's not good for the neck or spine.
Yeah, and D&D had such an important part of GWAR.
Yeah,
and that was funny when I was watching. Of course, watch Stranger Things and those kids being the nerds. I'm glad that they got that right, because if you played D&D or you knew people that played it, you were part of the extreme nerdball contingent. Like everybody was like, "Oh, you're a weirdo. What's wrong with you?" but Dave was, I mean, I couldn't think of a better person to play D&D with.
He was the best dungeon master you could ever imagine.
Oh yeah,
I mean, yeah,
unbelievable.
I still think to this day, I still have visions of playing that game with him because it was that fun. Yeah.
Nice. People that didn't play would come to the games to watch them.
Yeah.
Like
that's funny.
I mean, that was the best and worst thing about Dave. He was always on stage. It was really hard. Like, I mean, some of my favorite times with him were just he and I, when you could finally get him alone. But, he was like the light that, people gravitated towards. And that was kind of exhausting, too, because when you were around Dave, you were it was Dave and his band. And there was a part of me that wanted to be like, well, I don't want to be in Dave's shadow, Fuck Dave.
Or you would run into Dave like when GWAR got big. I mean, shit, they were big, right? They were on Jerry Springer, you name it. So at one point, still considering myself like a good friend of him, I come and mess with him, and I'll remember at a barbecue, came up behind him and just poked him, and he turned around and this like. Totally like, who are you to touch me? And I'm like, it's me, dude. And he was just like, oh, fuck. Because he knew that he had been fully in rock star mode. And I was just like, yeah. And I just said to him, I won't deal with you in this particular mode. And I just walked away, and he was like, mother, but that's the relationship we had. He knew I didn't deal with that shit. And it was funny because he would walk away with like a little entourage of people around him, and he'd be talking about the juggalos and shit like that. I'd be like, dude, you have juggalos. I hate to say it. You call them bohabs, but yeah, you've got your entourage.
Well, now they're embraced. They always play the Gathering of the Juggalos now. So
yeah, no, I'm glad to see him. I just saw him on
the Hot
Ones, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That's great.
Well, and Dave was probably the Natives' biggest supporter. I mean, throughout our time together, he always made space for us. We practiced at the GWAR space, and I'm confident that they were like, why do you keep those guys back there? But I always thought,
why don't you jack the rent up?
Right. He never really jacked the rent up on us, but I think he did. I think he respected us solely because we quit him.
Yeah.
And it always kind of perplexed him. Like, I remember him saying, "You must really not care about being famous."
Well, no, and honestly, to be, he came to see us and took a bunch of psychedelics many times.
Dave
yeah. And he confessed to me later that he would like had some serious life-changing experiences. So I think that was another reason he was a fan, to be honest with you.
That's great. And you mentioned the what do you call it? The GWARbecue. Wasn't there a GWARbecue where you kind of returned and played a set of GWAR songs?
Oh yeah, that was like the first time that we had played together as the three of us in
many years.
Many years.
It was fun too. We did we did probably 5 or 6 GWAR songs with Dave. It was a blast.
I'm glad that happened.
I think there's a video of it somewhere. I don't know it, but it's out there somewhere.
It was awesome.
Yeah. And then, I guess on this track, I noticed. Well, all right, Greg. We want to go beyond the alternatives, somewhere in the middle here. You ended up on this record again. So what's the story with that?
Yeah, so they were like, hey, we're going to do this Jäger Monster song. Can you do a solo? I was like, sure. Did I listen to the song at all before I went to the studio? No. So the solo just seriously sucks, to be honest with you.
You don't like it?
I don't, but it was fun because they were like, they weren't sure how to mix it at first, and so they just kind of mixed it on top, which was kind of fun for me. So it gives you a little insight of the early GWAR because it was very much more of an early Guar solo than like
Right.
Dirk's or the new guitar players, who were very awesome guitar players, by the way. But my solos were pretty raw.
Well, this was a weird album because they kind of were in between bands again, and I think Tim Harris played a bunch of songs on this and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then you ended up on this record too, the Dave Rocky Experience.
Unfortunately, yes, or fortunately, yes. I think I just
Isn't It Grand Boys?
Yeah, so I just sing on that one. That was me being vocals.
Yeah, but that's got Jim's Masturbate on it. Right?
Yeah, yes, it does.
One of them. I think that's the first album. Yeah, this is the second one.
Yeah,
one of the. Yeah, you guys were.
Are those records available? Are they out of print?
Not really. I don't think so.
God. I played my daughter Hard for a Tard. And,
oh no!
What was the other one? There's
some really offensive songs on there.
Absolutely.
Oh my God! Yeah. But they're so catchy. Oh my God! There's what was the other? Hard for a Tard, and what? There's another one that's really awful too.
I can't remember. Let me see.
You sure you want to do this?
Yeah, no, maybe we skip this part.
Yeah, I mean,
and the armpit stuff was
yeah. Let's bring that up.
Let's talk about armpit.
Let's
Let's start talking about side projects.
You can't really talk about armpit and be honest right now. It's just, we're not living in the right time. I don't know if there ever was one, but it's such a hilarious project.
Are you gonna put this out or what, man?
Look at that cover. Look at that cover.
Incredible.
It makes me think of
Buttball was by far the best guitar
player. Don't read the track listing out loud.
Boozing out. Man, I haven't seen that forever, dude. This is awesome.
Boozing out, yeah.
Bobby Gorman says it's his favorite record.
I've never heard it. I'm waiting.
Oh my God!
Well, Bobby Gorman has a copy of it. It's just noise. It's pure noise.
Yeah.
Our job was to clear the show out. At the end of a show, Armpit would play, and we would clear the room.
We started getting gigs. It's like it was like, you want to open any given night. You want to come down and open for like whoever it was that was on tour at PB Kelly's or something. Yeah. And we would just roll down. We'd roll in. We'd clear the room.
It was awful.
Probably didn't stick around for the whole show. And then didn't Armpit open for GWARP Flood Zone?
Yeah.
Didn't we do that? That's the last one I remember doing.
Well, that was the one that Tim Herman, he was supposed to sell us cocaine on stage, and he had powdered sugar, and he proceeded to throw it on us. And so my fretboard, remember that, Gray? Our fretboards were caked with powdered sugar.
Oh boy!
That caused a pause in the show, to say the least.
And then we found him later that night, and we tied him up outside on Main Street. Do you remember that? Dave was pissed.
I don't have any recollection.
Dave, Chuck, and Mike.
Which Mike? Bonner?
No, Delaney.
Oh.
Delaney was such a part of the early GWAR. I mean,
totally.
He was a force to be reckoned with, and just a brutally funny guy, and a monster. I mean, he was, he was a guy you were not going to fuck with. But he would fuck with a lot of people. He was fun. He had such a great devious life. He reminded me of Ed Roth. He was that kind of character. And he could go toe to toe with Dave, which was awesome.
Which he didn't do though too often.
That's good.
He's good.
Well, yeah.
Let's see what I got. Yeah,
Dave
go ahead.
Sucked up all the energy in the room. I mean, it was like you were part of Dave's. It was always going to be Dave's thing, and which was great. But I didn't want to be Dave's side man.
But then the main, the binding agent was where Mike Delaney and Chuck lived. The big living space was the main fabrication room where the costumes were put together.
Is that the Chateau of Sin?
I mean, you go in, and I'm sure it's still like that in many ways, but I just remember like walking in there a few nights before a show, every, ZZ Top Eliminators being blasted and over, and they're fabricating the smells, all this toxic chemicals and glue. And they were in there, but Dave, Delaney, everybody working in Guarmany, like making all
I love
this.
that.
That's where all the ideas got put into reality. They talk about it, and then Chuck. And
they had critiques, kind of
Don't
like
talk about it, do it.
art school, where you sit around, they would, go after each other, and there'd be pretty fierce arguments between creative arguments between Don and Dave and
Hunter.
That idea is dumb.
Got heated in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Do you guys remember anything about the original concept of Hunter's movie?
Well, it was Hunter's movie, and he was filming it because the dairy was the perfect place for a post-apocalyptic movie. He found the most perfect place to film his movie. It was already there. And then Dave, because of proximity, it just kind of happened. He had Hunter had the costumes, and Dave liked the idea, and we just kind of spitballed it from just hanging out together. And we're going to be the band, and that was at the end of Death Biggie.
Right.
And again, Sean and Russ had one foot out the door. So Dave was looking for his next thing pretty much. And he hooked up with Hunter. And then, after that Halloween party at 1028 Franklin Street, that was the beginning of GWAR that night. Because I remember that night we were watching MTV, and we had decided in our drug-addled brains that people don't want good. They want bad. So, and the first song I remember coming up with was Rock and Roll Party Town. Yeah. Right. And it was like what is the dumbest thing we can think of? Hey there, girl. And that was the beginning of it. Right? So
it's an anthem for a generation.
It was, when you worked with Dave, it was always such great fun because he was, so excitable and could create excitement in you. And it made you feel like it was like a team sport, he carried that thing. He was personable and motivating in a way that Hunter could never be.
Yeah. And when we first met Hunter, guess what Hunter's job was?
He was a prison guard, right?
That's right.
Yeah, he grew up
and his dad was a prison guard, and that had serious consequences on that dude's psyche. And Hunter, I love you, by the way, if you're watching this. But I mean, he was, he had put some sour in his brain as far as like, wow, this is reality. Reality isn't suburbia; it's like hardcore prison. Yeah. And so when we met him, he was it was a interesting dichotomy of influences between him and Dave. Like Dave, but the good thing about it, and you guys can argue if I'm wrong here, but it's like everybody could put input into GWAR, right? There were no really bad ideas. I mean, there were a lot of really bad ideas, but a lot of them came to fruition, and like you could come out, you could spitball something out of your ass and just be like, oh, that's like the best thing ever. Why haven't we thought about having a giant cockroach on stage? And then we just spray it with Raid, because that's exactly what we're going to do.
Well, and then you had to build it. And if you built it, it was part of the show.
Right.
So that was the great part of it. And, Hunter had the idea, but Dave's the one that gave it life. And Dave took it. Without Dave, Hunter would have had a little movie.
Right.
And with Dave, you have a band that lasted 40 plus years.
Yeah.
So
what do you, I was going to say, so the big show that you guys played was the Schaefer Court show, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys?
Flood Zone was big.
And Flood Zone, okay.
Schaefer Court was when the plane engine crashed into the stage.
Which
do you guys want to watch the video?
That would have killed people too.
Yeah, you could never have done that now.
No. OSHA would shut you down. The school would have shut us down. But my favorite part of that show is we have a 16-year-old Dave Grohl in the fucking audience who just smoked a fucking joint. And he's there to visit his sister at VCU, and he walks in on this thing, which is GWAR. And apparently, he's never been
Did
the same.
you know him at all, or
not at that time? We played shows with him later.
When he was in
his
Scream?
band, Dane Bramage, which is crazy to me that there's a hole in that man's catalog because he puts out, everybody knows everything about him except for Dane Bramage, which was a great trio that the Natives played with probably 6-7 times. And they were kind of like a Husker or squirrel bait type of band. And he was undeniable. I mean, you just knew he was one of those drummers that's just like, damn, that dude, he could make a 4/4 sound, transcendental. And,
Jim, do you mind me telling him the first time we watched him play? Do you even remember that?
I remember immediately being like, "Oh shit, they have an incredible drummer."
Yeah, because we they're doing a drum check. We walk in and he's just doing his drum check, and he does the entire solo from Moby Dick, including playing with his fucking hands. And I'm just sitting there going, "Holy!" And we're all huge Led Zeppelin fans, so I'm just like, "Holy fuck!" And I look over to Jim, and Jim's just like, "Fuck." And Jim was a great drummer.
Well, he had the Bonham circles on his bass drum.
Yeah,
but he was just a great drummer.
He was awesome.
Make any band sound good. And I saw him again with Scream when they played the Jade Elephant. And then he had a 28-inch ride cymbal. That's what I remember.
That sounds about right.
Massive.
But just great. And the last time I saw him in person was at we were playing. It was when I came back to play with them after Rob Mosby left, and around 90 or 91, 90, probably 90, and went to the Richmond tattoo convention, and we were playing, and Dave, who had been in Scream, I just remember he's had a black leather jacket. He'd kind of grown his hair out. He was chain smoking Marlboros, and he was down to check GWAR out because he was going to try out. Because I was going
to ask if there was any truth to that.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like we alternators were getting ready to do what I think was our last tour, and Liz, who had been the manager for GWAR, Liz Fairburn, she was managing GWAR, and she booked us at least like the West Coast part of the tour, like open for Primus and Gurneyville and weird.
But Victim's Family.
But anyway, so I was pretty clear on very good terms with Dave and everybody. Like, man, I love doing that. I wished I could have done both, but I was like, we got to go. Like, we're going out. We have a new record coming out, and so they were looking at other drummers, and Dave Grohl was down there to check it out. And I don't remember how it went or if he came to an audition or anything.
I gotta get that guy on the show. Someone reach out to Dave Grohl for me.
Do you remember the drummer?
Let's put this rumor to rest and get it from the mouth.
Before Brad, after you left, remember that drummer they got that lost his mind?
That was before me. That was Pete.
Yeah, he was from. I knew him, his brother from Reston. Remember, Pete Luckner. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I think he only did a few Richmond gigs.
Yeah, I don't even know that name.
He kind of
he lost his mind.
And
he lost his mind.
The first Slutman kind of lost it too, right? Like
Ben
was on the show. If you want to go hear what he has to say about it.
He had stage fright, as I recall.
Yeah.
But
I know it was funny.
That's how Dave became the singer. If in my recollection is basically he had to step in because Ben
didn't
want to do the show anymore.
Yeah.
There was Joe in between, Joe and Aroma.
Oh yeah, Joey,
who was great. We played with Joey a few times.
Yeah.
Flood Zone maybe, and didn't he do the? Where else did we play with him?
Probably Metro.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember like tripping with him in the dairy, and one night he'd had enough of my shenanigans.
I can only imagine.
I remember he pushed me up against the wall, like he's gonna like kill me, and it was just like I remember looking at his eyes, and he was tripping, and I was tripping. He just kind of went limp.
Yeah, well, I mean, how long can you keep that vibe up? Hopefully not long.
Well, and then Jim had the idiot ditties, which were the idiot ditty turned into Sick of You. But we had several that we all kind of had together because we spent so much time together. We had these sayings that would just go on and on, like kind of like Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, like mantras.
Yeah. It was more like mental illness, Kevin. Is really the appropriate description. I mean, I still to this day I catch myself singing little songs that we sang in the 90s, and I'm like, oh, look, I have lost my mind.
Yeah. Coping mechanism.
Well, and then a lot of them
use
too.
The anthem now, so congratulations.
Oh no, and that came from like just hanging out with each other too much. It just.
Oh yeah.
I am so sick.
Mm-hmm.
Then we just we would make songs out of anything. That was another big thing. But
the idiot ditties.
This has been really fun to talk to you guys, to say the least. So Kevin, I hope this has been somewhat entertaining for you.
Yeah, I didn't have to do any work. It was great. I didn't do any of my slideshow at all.
Well, we generally Jim and I would just shut up and we just let Chris talk.
Right.
But, not tonight.
Well, I guess we could try to close it out. If you guys ever want to come back and continue this, like, I'd be totally down. We could go for another hour about the alternatives and all this stuff. But
we have many more tales.
Yeah, I'd love to, maybe we can use it again in
the tale of the alternatives is in the recording. So everybody watching, go and spend all of your money on our recordings. So we can retire.
Yeah. I believe you can get all 4 records for about $36.
You will reach spiritual enlightenment and total positive monetary solutions for the rest of your life if you just listen to just a couple of those songs.
And
so it's fairly amazing. Yeah.
The only purpose in this world is to buy alternatives recordings.
Well, let me do a couple quick questions for the end here. Is there going to be a big reunion show? You guys going to play together again?
Yes, it's going to be done by AI though.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you can just feed all the remasters into the machine.
Yeah. We're gonna do a reunion.
Load the algorithms. Jim's writing the algorithms now. He does it in sleep.
We're gonna do it as an interpretive dance.
Mm-hmm.
That's how.
I have a question. I have a couple things here. I'm wondering if this is part of the reissues. I have some records here.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Are these songs on the reissues, or is there more alternative stuff out there?
We've got to get a few more things. We have a live.
This one's Road.
Yeah. We have a live show we're going to put up on the Bandcamp site. That's from live at the Cubby Bear in Chicago.
1989.
Yeah. And we're sourcing these last recordings. I think I got a good lead on the last 4 or 5 songs that haven't been remastered and reissued yet. So hopefully we'll have those in a few months.
And then I see there's kind of like a bonus tracks, there's trio versions. Was it important to have those out there? And were those mixed back in the day and just never used, or what's the story with that?
We wanted to okay, so Eric is a super important integral part of the band's career, but we were always the trio. We started as the trio, we ended as the trio. So the idea was that we would have, sometimes Eric is really locked in, and we really, we're writing together, and it was like a cohesive force of nature, but we just wanted there to be a kind of clean version of us as the trio, and then the ones with Eric, and I think Eric would probably agree, he was and remained peripheral, within the group for a while, and that's not a negative commentary. It's more just how it was. Like, and it could be as simple as like we'd be practicing for 2 hours before Eric got out of sculpture class.
Right.
He'd show up and we'd been working on something and he would let me figure out what to put on that. So I recall that more than Eric coming in with, okay, I've got this whole song mapped out. It was usually me, Chris, and Greg riffing, coming up with these, idiotic way we did of structuring songs. Not idiotic, but, we had our own method. And Eric would come in and put stuff on top of that. So we just wanted to have the option to do it since we could do it with the technology now,
Gotcha. And so
It was fun.
were those newly mixed or were those created back in the day and just never used?
No, we created them when we remastered
the originals. Yeah.
And that was done by Penn Rollins of Honor Roll, Breadwinner, and Butterglow. He did that.
And you were in that band for a bit, right?
Honor Roll? No,
Yeah.
we played on the Honor Roll Rictus record.
We loved Honor Roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went on tour with them. Our first tour was Honor Roll and Corrosion of Conformity.
Wow.
They were a band when I got to Richmond, and when I saw like famous actors from out of town, when I saw Honor Roll show, I couldn't believe they were in Richmond. I couldn't believe that there was a band that good in this town where I decided to go to college. You know what I mean? It made me really excited to be there. Like,
well, and they were an enigma too, because they weren't hardcore, but they had really well-defined songs. And Penn is an exceptional guitar player. The Schick brothers, great drummer. Chip's a great bass player. Ben, Jeremy before that. So they were, Richmond didn't have one sound. It had a bunch of different sounds, kind of everybody trying to be their own thing. And Honor Roll was definitely their own thing. And they were great. Bob, their singer, passed away within the last 18 months. He was a great singer and pivotal force in Richmond, Virginia, worked at Plan 9 Records forever.
Nice.
And a great friend of the band.
And a super nice guy.
Yeah.
All right, I got to show these toys. I think these are some of you guys.
That's ball sack.
Yeah,
that's me. I have that.
All right, you were just the Jaws of Death, I believe, right?
Yeah, he was in better shape back then when they did
this
the
is
model.
a new one he made.
Yeah.
I think
that's
is this
great.
Cornelius Carnage?
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Have you
Cornelius.
seen that? Yeah.
Yes.
These are John Poppy, and there's Jim. Character.
Jim worked out a lot.
He was looking pretty good back in the day.
Yeah, well,
I still got it.
Yeah, do the Hulk Hogan. Yeah. Yeah, this is super cool, guys. Everyone go check out the alternatives. I'd love to have you guys back maybe in a year or so.
Do it again.
Do it
Yeah.
again.
Dude.
I didn't even do any of my flyers. I had all these flyers I was going to talk about. HR being on one of your records.
Well, once you let
that's really
Chris start
cool.
talking, I mean, Jesus.
Hey, but it's great. It was great content either way. I loved it.
Oh no, yeah. We'll
Talk about
definitely come
HR
back.
for a whole episode.
Yeah, see, exactly. And I've met him too, so
Well,
it's
yeah.
interesting.
The Bad Brains were. Yeah, that's another band that we all bonded on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, go check out these old episodes with Chris and Jim. Of course, come back. You guys got to come back on Thursday for Sarah Squirm for Saturday Night Live.
That sounds good.
Awesome.
It's going to be
that sounds
super
great.
cool. Go check out our special on HBO. And then we got some of the new X-Cops coming up here in March, and Ghoul is coming on the show. And of course, go check out all the old episodes.
Oh,
Scott
yes,
Bryan, Kurt Balu was on the show, Tim Harris, Roger Gaspin, Elaine Eno, Faith No Guar, crazy cover band with the guy who's in Marilyn Manson now, Brad Roberts, of course, Hunter Jackson, Bob
Nice.
Gorman, just all sorts of great stuff on this stuff.
Oh, the alternatives.
And the
probably
alternatives,
best
you know,
show
they
you've
were
ever
okay.
done, right?
The best show ever.
We'll
yeah,
come back,
sure.
right? Right, you guys will come back, Greg.
I'll come
Jim,
back.
you'll come back. All right.
I'll come
Awesome.
back next week, man. Come on.
Don't
Just
tempt
get-
me.
Never get rid of us.
Come on, baby.
All right,
All
everybody,
right, buy
thanks
the
for being
alternatives
here.
music. Thanks for
Yes,
having us.
alternatives.bandcamp.com. Go like, share, subscribe, and comment below.
Like, share, subscribe.